My name is Paul Shelley, and welcome to The AstroHistorian. This is a series where I talk about all things sci-fi and space lore. Today, I'm bringing back our lore news segment to help fill out more content while I return to teaching in the fall. So today, we're going to look at the latest Plain Truth, called Lorville Lies. Plain Truth is a show by Parker Tyrrell, a popular conspiracy theorist who questions everything the mainstream media of the UAE claims. He started out as a legitimate reporter for the United Times News Org, working as an investigative journalist. But after going missing and being caught, he claimed the UAE was testing a secret Hadesian weapon, and that weapon was responsible for destroying LS-11. Since then, he has hosted his own show, spinning a variety of fantastic stories, with the latest being about the Hurstons intentionally turning a peaceful unionizing attempt into a fringe, violent organization. But before we get into all that, I'd like to thank y'all for watching these videos. We've reached over 15,000 subscribers, and that is in no small part due to people like you watching and spreading the word. So, if this is the second time you've enjoyed one of my videos, hit that subscribe button. And if you need to know lore exactly when it comes out, then ring the bell to be notified the instant a new video drops. With that all being said, let's talk about the Plain Truth from August 16th, 2022. While Parker Tyrrell should never be taken literally, he often does manage to get the scoop on some secret things the government and corporations want to keep under wraps. So this is not to say the information presented here is entirely fictional, just that his conclusions might be a bit slanted. That being said, we learn a lot about the Hurstons in this, just in time for the Hurston series I've started a few weeks ago. So I gotta add this to the pile of lore the family already has. That family has way too much lore. But enough of my troubles, this actually fleshes out an aspect of the game that has got a bit of a glow up recently: bunker missions. The story itself tells about the United Workers of Hurston, a small group of workers who attempted to form a union on the planet of Hurston in the 2890s. Parker's informant claims that the organization began to gain traction amongst the workers of Hurston Dynamics, and this scared the board of directors. But what sealed the fate of the group was when the UWH started to get attention from outside the company. Fearing this impacting profits, the Hurstons supposedly stepped in to protect their bottom line. According to Parker's source, known as Canary, Hurston began to harass known members of the UWH, withholding pay, neglecting safety standards, and burying their work in red tape. They then sent agent provocateurs into the group to try to make them more violent. This would culminate in 2937, when the Hurston Dynamics cargo ship, the Lastl, was hijacked by the UWH. They paraded their hostages in front of cameras and demanded change, going so far as to fly over Lorville and throw the pilot out of an airlock to fall to their death. This action would sour the public on the UWH, who went from being sympathetic to mindless criminals in the eyes of the citizens of the UAE. Though the UWH did not disappear, they're still around, organizing raids and takeovers of Hurston Dynamic facilities and killing innocent bystanders in the process. This is a conspiracy theory in its simplest form: an anonymous whistleblower, a fantastic story, and an easy bad guy in the form of the Hurstons. However, like all good conspiracies, there is a grain of truth. The way Parker presents it, we can tell that the Lastl incident did actually happen, and the UWH are a canon organization that is now extremely violent. The other thing to take away from this is that it's not too hard to imagine being true. More than once have the Hurstons shown themselves to be willing to go nearly any lengths to undermine threats to themselves and to their bottom line. The case of Maria Hurston and her husband Jasper Hurston is a great example of this. Maria was dedicated to changing Hurston for the better, having been a revolutionary in Jatta after the Mezzers drove her family out of business. She was famously photographed with the resistance during the fall of the Mezzers, standing up against Mezzer security forces as a teenager. Her marriage to Jasper Hurston seemed odd, but both were dedicated to reforming what was even then considered to be one of the most hated families in the empire. She managed some success, but when her husband was maneuvered out of the company by internal politics, she was shut out, her healthcare plan being the only legacy she could retain. You see, the CEO at the time, Alton Hurston, was even willing to let Maria leak the fact that it was the Hurstons that poisoned and effectively killed the planet of Asura in order to keep power. He even went so far as to threaten to bury her in litigation, ruining her and her husband financially and socially in order to keep his position. And that was with her being a member of the family itself. So the idea that the Hurstons would callously disregard the lives of innocent people and intentionally radicalize a union as an underhanded means to destroy the reputation is not too far-fetched. Hurstons famously have little regard to anything but profit, going so far as to find their own planet a constantly devaluing asset that needed to be rapidly plundered for every centimeter of wealth they could extract from it. Their care for their own workers is infamously abominable and borderline slavery. This also leads to the in-game framing of the bunker missions, which were some of the first planet-side FPS missions available in the game, connecting the famous Malo Ex Bonum to the UWH. So the question remains, will this lead to maybe a new event or new missions in-game with the rebel workers against their Hurston overlords? Time will tell, but as lore tends to inform gameplay, I'd say there's a good chance this isn't the last time we will see the UWH in the narrative. That was Plain Truth, Lorville Lies from August 16th, 2022. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'd like to thank those on screen now who support me on Patreon to keep this content going. I'm currently trying to raise enough to hire an editor who can help me increase the quality and quantity of videos coming, including a timed Patreon exclusive where I cover the entire history of the Star Citizen universe. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, think about joining my Patreons for as little as $5 a month. I've also just opened up memberships for $1 on YouTube for those who just want to chip in a little bit. For now, let me know if you would like me to do more of these lore news updates in the future. Do you think Hurston intentionally radicalized a union for profit? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, remember, ex Historia ad Astra.